Hello, fellow educators, and welcome to our training on fostering home and school connections for English learners. Today, we will be looking at culturally responsive teaching, considering the needs of English learners in the classroom, and discussing the benefits of engaging families and communities. Let's get started. English learners bring many wonderful things to our classrooms, and this extends beyond the richness of their home language and their journey toward multilingualism. English learners also enter our classrooms with a depth of culture. Understanding and valuing their cultural background is an essential piece of effectively supporting their learning. Every English learner brings their cultural background through the classroom door each day. Sometimes aspects of various cultures align naturally, and sometimes cultural differences impact the effectiveness of teaching and learning. For example, a teacher from a low-power distance culture and a student from a high-power distance culture might both feel uncomfortable with how the other approaches relationship. Similarly, a student whose home culture values indirect communication might find a teacher's steady eye contact and public correction overwhelming or humiliating. Because of cultural influences on teaching and learning, it is essential for teachers to develop and continually strengthen their cultural competence. Cultural competence consists of the tools and skills necessary to effectively teach students from cultures different than one's own, according to Moore 2021. Teachers of English learners must utilize cultural competence every day to establish safe and meaningful relationships, support English learners as they navigate culture in the United States, and adapt lessons to fit the needs and understanding of every student. The values and beliefs of English learners can be integrated in daily classroom life and infused in intentional instruction when teachers take the time to learn, understand, value, and include the cultures of their students. Classroom libraries, wall displays, lesson topics, and family events should all reflect a classroom and school's diversity. When every student sees themselves reflected in daily classroom life, they are more likely to believe they belong and can succeed in relationships and learning. Culturally competent teachers work weekly to make this a reality. Culture has a daily impact on student learning. English learners not only face the challenge of learning content alongside learning the English language, they are also constantly working to make sense of culture and understand how to properly engage their peers and authority figures. A student's home culture might impact how they ask for help or demonstrate their engagement and attention. Depending on cultural backgrounds, some students will feel more comfortable with individual work, and some will prefer to work collectively. When teachers fail to understand the way a student's cultural lens impacts their day-to-day learning, students can struggle to engage in meaningful learning and can experience compounding barriers to their growth in English development and content area knowledge. Teachers must be mindful of how their classroom and school environments influence learning and language development. Safety is one of the most important aspects of a classroom environment, and this is especially true for English learners. Practicing and modeling empathy, valuing a wide variety of perspectives, upholding classroom values, and increasing students' cultural understanding are all ways teachers can work to create classrooms which are safe and inclusive for everyone, according to Tavenger 2017. When English learners know they are safe and belong, they can more effectively engage in conversations with teachers and peers, take risks in applying their learning, and allow others a window to better see who they are and what they value. Healthy learning environments highlight cultures, languages, and holidays, promote inclusivity and actively dissuade bullying, and give every student appropriate opportunities to shine. When teachers work to ensure their classroom and school are culturally inclusive, everyone benefits, English learners and native speakers alike. There are many ways teachers can work to intentionally integrate cultures within classrooms. Surveys at the beginning of a school year can help teachers understand some basics about students' home languages, culture, holidays and traditions, and family structure. Throughout the year, this knowledge can be incorporated and built upon. Families can be invited into the classroom to share aspects of their language, traditions, food, music, and more with the students. Teachers can ensure everyone's important holidays are appreciated, not just those shared by the majority. Diverse curriculum materials and real-world connections, which are relevant to various student backgrounds, can help make instruction inclusive and meaningful for everyone, and support students in getting to know and value each of their classmates. Incorporating home language in the classroom is also incredibly important. A student's home language should be seen as an asset which can help them build English skills and content area knowledge. Bilingual books and classroom signs can help integrate multiple languages in the classroom and visually show students they belong. Students can also be encouraged to use their home language to support their learning by sharing in-depth thoughts in their native language, using translation tools to share their ideas with others, and working in groups with students who share their home language. When students use their home language to show their depth of understanding, meaningful learning can occur. Over time, this supports their ability to think and communicate in English as well. All English learners are individuals, and it is important to understand their unique strengths, needs, and identities. English learners can fall into a variety of categories depending on their family situation and stability and their grasp of the English language. Different school districts may use different terms, but students in general can generally be placed in categories such as entering, beginning, developing, expanding, bridging, and reaching, according to Carujo 2023. These levels help educators understand English learners' language proficiency and expected progression. English learners can also fall into a variety of categories based on their family situation, such as immigrants, refugees, long-term English learners, students with interrupted formal education, and more. Understanding the ways English learners are identified can give teachers a basic framework for supporting them where they are and where they are going. Although these categories of identification are important, they do not tell us much about individual students. Working to understand individual strengths and needs is essential. Learning multiple languages is a strength in itself. As English learners progress toward bilingualism or multilingualism, their working memory, executive function, and cognitive flexibility develop more deeply than their monolingual peers, according to 0 to 3, 2023. Like all students, English learners also have personal strengths. Teachers must be intentional in getting to know their English learner students on an individual level, learning from their families and working closely with school staff such as ESL teachers. It takes careful work to understand an English learner's strengths, since teachers often do not share their home language and culture. But learning what makes each student special and leveraging this in the classroom is essential to meaningful learning. It is also important for teachers to correctly identify English learners' unique needs. Depending on their time spent in the U.S. education system and their English proficiency, students will need various English supports. Some students might need individual language instruction outside of the classroom, and others can receive all their language support within the general education room. Program entrance assessments and yearly reassessments can help identify language support needs, as can ongoing formative and summative assessments occurring within the classroom. English learners also need support in learning conversational English and academic English. Communicating with peers in English is very different from interacting with authority figures or using language correctly across various content areas. Conversational English develops first, and both are essential to students' long-term success in the United States. Proper identification of special needs is also essential to properly supporting students. English learners are over-recommended for disability assessments. Teachers should utilize tiered support and work closely with ESL teachers and families to determine students' language support needs and whether these are separate to learning challenge present. When a student is dual identified as an English learner and having a disability, proper supports must be provided in both areas. Collaboration between general education teachers, special education teachers, and ESL teachers is essential. Extra support might be needed to support students in integrating with their peers, especially if they are being pulled out of the general education classroom for multiple types of services. English learners bring so much to our classrooms, and caring for them in every way possible is deeply important. Teachers with English learners must also be mindful of how students' social, emotional, and cultural needs impact classroom routines and procedures. English learners often come to our classrooms with traumatic backgrounds or uncertainty in their lives. Children must know they are safe and cared for within our classrooms. Predictable routines can go a long way in supporting students who are navigating English learning and an unfamiliar culture. When students know what to expect from their school routines, they can more easily integrate within the classroom and participate in learning. Many English learners do not feel comfortable testing out their language skills when they are new to a school. But this does not mean they are not learning or progressing. Listening and observing are essential steps in language acquisition, and students should be supported in growing their comfortability before being expected to share with the whole class. The complex learning dynamics an English learner must balance can be exhausting, and a quiet space for students to take a break can go a long way in supporting a healthy learning environment. When changes must be made to the classroom structure or a day's routine, English learners should be notified ahead of time. Minimizing change and disruption can help add needed stability and comfort to an English learner's school days. Drawing on families' and communities' funds of knowledge is another way we can intentionally support English learners. According to Washington's Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, funds of knowledge are abilities, assets, and understanding developed over time. The office explains teachers can learn about students' families' funds of knowledge through projects, papers, and presentations about family history. An even more beneficial way to acquire this information is through home visits and personal interactions with families and community members. Once teachers understand the funds of knowledge possessed by those in their student circle, these assets can be used to shape instruction. Teachers can draw on students' history and culture to influence instructional topics and classroom assignments. Families and community members can also be welcomed into the classroom to share their knowledge and skills with students. Our English learners come from families and communities with a wide variety of experience and strengths, and our classrooms are better when we make the most of them. The importance of engaging families and communities cannot be understated. To effectively accomplish this goal, teachers must be mindful of many things. When working with English learners' families, it is necessary to ensure translation services are available as needed. Meetings should be translated in person or through a video call service, and newsletters, emails, and texts should always be made accessible to families. It is also important to recognize our English learner families might need support in getting connected with local resources. Teachers and school social workers can help ensure families have access to medical care, are aware of work opportunities in the area, know how to connect with other English learner families, and more. Sponsoring group meetings between English learner families and community members is one meaningful way schools can offer holistic support. Inviting diverse community members to share in the classroom or taking field trips to visit the community are also ways teachers can help all students interact with and value various cultures. Easy and effective onboarding processes for incoming families are also a very important step. When families understand where their child will be attending school and how they can engage in relationship with their child's staff, first-day transitions can be less daunting. It is important to recognize the challenges and strengths our English learner families experience day to day and ensure school is one space which is made easy and supportive as possible. Thank you so much for joining us in this important conversation today. I hope you feel more equipped to support the English learners in your classroom. Thank you for working hard every day to care for these precious children.